Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Danny's back again.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Danny. Welcome,
What's
everybody.
up?
Sorry, I had to sing you in a little bit. I missed you last week.
Yeah. Unfortunately, things just sometimes it's really funny too, because Tuesday night was when we used to record.
Right.
And that was always everything wanted to be on Tuesday night. And I'm like,
Yep.
and when we decided to switch to Wednesday mornings, I'm like, this is fantastic. Because then I can do all that crap that keeps coming up on Tuesdays, and I'll be able to get stuff done. I can be here with the kids because Marnie goes knitting every Tuesday, and that's just, she's not here.
Right.
And this will be so much easier. And then everything goes like, well, how's Wednesday morning? No. I mean, I've never, I shouldn't say never, but it's rare I have anything to do on Wednesday mornings.
Right.
Now it's just like, oh no, everything. So yeah, last week I had and unfortunately, it was really an unmovable thing this week too.
Sure. Yeah, it's all good.
Doctor's appointment, what have you. But yeah, last week was death, stomach flu. It was the worst.
the house plague.
It was terrible. And I felt like we got everybody through it, right? And the weekend went pretty good. Everybody was fine. I'm like, yeah, I'm finally getting things, cleaned up, and I'm washing loads and loads and loads of towels and all the crap that could happen, and sanitizing the world, and Marcus goes to school on Monday, and I get a call from his teacher like, hey, he thinks he's going to throw up.
Oh, no.
Oh, man, come on.
Oh, no.
I don't know what it was. He was feeling terrible. He was like white as a sheet. He just had that pallid, I'm gonna vomit look to his face.
Yep.
So I go into the office to pick him up with the nurses and everything, and I look at him. I'm like, "Did you throw up yet?" He said, "No, but I feel really bad." So I pulled a gallon Ziploc bag out of my pocket. I'm like, "Here, carry this with you till you get home."
The nurse is like, I like this guy.
Right. And the lady up front, she goes, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "Yeah, I keep him in the car because, she's like, oh my God, that's genius." I'm like, "It's not my idea. All right. I didn't come up with it, but you're right. It's genius."
It's MacGyver dad.
It is. And he's holding it all the way home. He didn't throw up all day, but then like 1 or 2 o'clock, he comes to, he gets up, and he'd been sleeping a lot. He comes and goes, "Dad, I'm hungry." Like, okay, well, here's 4 saltines. You can keep those down for like an hour. Then we'll talk about food. Otherwise, no, I'm not doing this again. And he was fine. And he's went back to school on Tuesday. He never had a fever. Everything's great. He never threw up. Everything's fine. I'm like, what was that? But just a little relapse, I guess.
Honestly, this with the daylight savings time, like I feel like that can really cause issues for people. And we thought we were kind of like going to get past that. And we had been home for visiting family, and everything seemed to be good. Hezekiah woke up and he was like, "I'm dizzy. My stomach doesn't feel good." And I'm like trying to play like detective, because I'm like, okay, did he forget an assignment? Because we've been down this road before, like, oh, I'll stay home and I can do this. Like, he's smart like that. And so I started like looking online through his like school stuff, and I didn't see anything. And at one point he went upstairs to do something, and I just was like, "Ruby," I was like, "Has Hezekiah mentioned anything to you about this?" She's like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay." So I was like, "Fine." I was like, "Here's what we'll do." Like, he got some breakfast in him, and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "You're gonna go back upstairs and go back to sleep, and we'll reassess this when you wake up." So I took Ruby to school, and came home and informed Corey. I was like, "Hezekiah's upstairs sleeping." And she's like, "Oh, okay," and explaining what's going on. So like 2 hours goes by, and he comes back downstairs, and you could see the difference. Like,
Oh yeah.
he had improved. drastically. And I was like, "Hey, buddy, how you feeling?" "Oh, I'm okay, but I don't think I want to go to school." And I'm like, "Stomach hurt?" "No, stomach." I was like, "Are you dizzy?" He's like, "No, not really." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "I think we're gonna try to go back to school, buddy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can get you back in time for recess and lunch and the rest of the day." And he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay. Can I just eat lunch here?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm going to get you back to school." So yeah, he was fine after that. I think he just
Mhm.
it wiped him out. Like just that loss of
Yeah.
that hour was
Hmm.
all it took. So yeah, kids get, they get it just hits them a different way, I guess is the
Hmm.
thing. So, but same thing for adults too sometimes. I mean, I think it
Yeah.
hits Corey that way as well. So me, I'm just like, all right, what? Is it another day? So my biggest issue was what was it? I think it was the next day. Yeah, on Tuesday. I had to get everybody up,
Oh, really?
and I'm just like, this is annoying. Like
Yes. Yes.
like I can understand the
We-
responsibility of getting up two children to get them to school. Totally understandable. And some days are good and some days were bad. And Tuesday was not good. And
Mhm.
so I was annoyed with them. But then on top of it, to try to have to get Corey up, and I'm like, why am I trying to get up my teenage wife? I was just so annoyed. And she was acting like she was annoyed that I was trying to get her up after she had asked me to make sure that she got up on at this certain time. So
Mhm.
I'm just like, what in the world? And lo and behold, she calls me up in the middle of the day and she's all like she's being all lovey, like, "Oh, I miss you. I love you." Like all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. She's like, "How is your day?" And I'm like, kind of annoyed actually.
Yep.
And then later she called me because she had some time to call me. And I explained to her the situation. She's like, "I'm so sorry." And I'm just like, yeah, if I could just not have
Hmm.
to be everybody's like
Yeah.
person that cattle
Yeah.
prod, that would be great.
Marnie has never overslept. Not a single time. And she's gotten up at really odd hours, especially as a cop for a long time. She just had a really odd schedule. And she'd get up and go. And I've never seen her oversleep. And
Mm,
I love it. I really love it. But I was thinking about it, I was like, if she asked me, would you wake me up? I probably would with no issue. Probably have no issue doing that. And I don't want to do that. I feel that once you're about 15, you should know how to get yourself up and
yeah.
you should understand what happens if you don't get yourself up. And I mean, there's that, like, you should also, do a lot of things in life that you don't quite hit and you need
Hmm.
a little bit of help, right? Um, so I can see it though. I can see needing it
Yeah.
every once in a while. I too just get up. My alarm, usually before my alarm, I'm just, but it's for me, it's anxiety. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a much easier thing. I'm going to miss something. You have nothing on your schedule today. I still have to get up at 5:30.
Well,
No, you don't. You just sleep till 7. You'll be fine. Nope. Got to get up,
and with Hezekiah too, like he's just as bad as Corey when it comes to getting up. Like Ruby,
Yeah.
like as soon as her alarm goes off, like I can expect her downstairs in about 10, 15 minutes. No big deal.
Hmm.
With
Nice.
Hezekiah, like he's like I set his alarm clock on the other side of the room, up on a shelf. He still, when his alarm goes off, gets up, walks across, turns it off, and gets back in bed. And I'm just like, and then Ruby comes in and she's like, "Papa, Hezekiah is still in bed." I'm like, look at the clock. I'm like, gosh, dang it. Because I usually sleep till about 6:30 because it's like I don't really need to get up. Like we're
Hmm.
trying to, instill that in them that they can't rely on people to,
Yes.
that kind of deal. So I had a conversation with him a while back about, hey, listen, when I was your age, I would be getting up. And if I didn't get up, then I said, my mom, which is your grandma, who you love dearly, would come in with a spray bottle that we typically use to spray the cat when they did something wrong. And she would change the thing from being a straight shot at you to like a mist. But by golly, that cold water hit your face and you knew what was up.
Time to go.
And I said, one of these days I'm gonna walk in and I'm just gonna boop, like spray you once and we'll see what happens. And he seriously thought I was joking. And then like yesterday, I was like, all right, it's on. So I just grabbed a spray bottle. I walked in and I said, wake up. And he just didn't move. And I went, got him once.
Mhm.
Man, he jumped out of bed so fast.
Yeah.
He was not happy, but I was just like, I told you I was gonna. You didn't tell me you were gonna do that, and I'm like, yeah, I did. I did tell you I was gonna
Mhm.
do that, and so he calmed down and everything on it. And then last night when I was putting him to bed, I was like, hey, it's like you don't get out of bed on time. I was like, I'm coming back up with that spray bottle. Well, this morning, guess what? He got up, no problems.
Mhm.
So
Lesson learned.
yeah, right. It's like somehow we got to break this cycle where
Mhm.
kids sometimes just think that they can continue to just push the envelope on things. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I'm from the generation of fuck around and find out.
I've been working with Lizzie and Marcus all week to get them so they can get themselves up like completely. Like I'm hands off by Wednesday. I was hands off, like do whatever. I'm just watching you do it, and we have the robot speaking voice from Amazon will wake them up. Like we have a music playlist, and it's silly dance songs and stuff, and it's fun songs. So it's not like Reveille, it's just like dun, 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 it's raining tacos, and I'm like, yeah, let's get up. Lizzie hates it. Lizzie hates waking up. She hates anybody waking her up. If she sleeps long enough to where she wakes up on her own, she's bright and happy. So we've been progressively moving her bedtime back and back and back. And so I'm like, if I will put you in bed at 7 o'clock, I don't care. I'll put you in bed at 6 o'clock. As long as you get up in the morning. And because I think it was Monday, maybe Monday or Tuesday, and Marnie was home, hadn't gone out to her office yet, and the alarm goes off, 7:25, boop, 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 and song starts playing, and you hear Lizzie from the living room. You hear her from her bedroom. She goes, "Ah!" It's like, yeah. And I didn't blink, because I've heard it too many times. I just go reading whatever I was reading. And Marnie goes, was that Lizzie? I'm like, yeah, she hates mornings. I don't know if you knew that, but it's always fun with her. But I've been working all week. I'm like, okay, I need to get this done. I need you guys to be able to help each other get up, help each other make sure you do your checklist. You got your hair, brush, your teeth brush, got your jacket, you check the weather, all these things. And I'm hoping that it goes off without a hitch, because I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
That's right. Yeah.
Fabian, first I'm going down to St. Louis for the board retreat, and then we're going down to Alabama to meet his boyfriend for the first time in person. So it's a big trip, right? So we gotta get going, and I want to get him because I gotta have him in a hotel over the weekend while we're at the board retreat. Because we stay at, of course, at a house. You can't really do a work retreat from a hotel.
You
can't.
The Airbnb or Verbo that has been
way
working
better.
really well for the board for that retreat.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to that because tomorrow we're going to tour the hotel. We're going
That'll be
to
exciting.
walk around and check out the rooms and check out, just all of the facilities that they have, the steakhouse that's connected to it. To the Drury Hotel. I definitely want to go take a look at that. And then also we've got requests from some of the dads to go see, well, is there something close? Do you have like a cigar shop, a tattoo parlor, and things like that? And it surprised me the number of people that at least seriously consider getting a tattoo during Home Dad Con.
I know that number is
like,
getting bigger every year.
It's neat. And I only have one, and I've never really seen anything else that I want to get. I do have one I want to get with my buddy Aaron Smith from Phoenix. I want to get a Munchkin tattoo or whatever with him, but we really haven't.
Are you going to get the sticker version where it looks like a sticker?
Yeah, I don't know. We've been kicking around, and I'm like, I need a dad. It needs to be dad and Munchkin card, and
look like a patch, like it was embroidered on your.
Nice.
Those are pretty.
I don't know
intense
if I can do
looking.
that. That sounds cool. Yeah, that sounds like very cool. But yeah, so we're gonna walk. Go around, and the City Museum is a huge attraction especially for parents, and so we're gonna go there and Thinking about having convention eve there.
Ooh, that would be
So
pretty cool.
we're going to do the, boots on the ground kind of thing where we take a look at everything out there and see what, the actual, because for years, from what I understand, I wasn't on the board at this time, we would just get a picture, or an idea. We had like one person that lived in the area would go walk it and like, okay, this looks
Right.
good. But then the board doesn't see it until the day of the convention or the
I
week of the
love the fact that the board has started doing board retreats actually like at the location where Home Dad Con
Mhm.
is going to be. I think that should have been day one. That's what they should have been doing because yeah, it does give that ability to get some tangible information. And two, like I remember back when I first got on the board, it was like, oh, where are we going to do the retreat? And there was like a whole meeting about like just like where are we going to go? How do we get this
Right.
done? And it's like here it's like we've already got a location. Like just
Mhm.
find the Airbnb, Verbo, whatever it is, and like go. Like
Right.
everything else is set up. So
Makes
um,
so much sense
yeah.
when you look at it. I mean, hindsight, why would we ever do it differently? But at the same time, you know, we were we were trying to do it at someone's house.
Yeah,
Like
right.
my house or something. We were doing,
Matt
we
Strain's
cannot
house
do
a couple
this. Yeah,
times,
Matt's house a couple times,
Pat
at least
Jacobs'
once. Yeah.
house once.
Right. And it's great if we can, but you're putting a lot of stress and strain on that dad.
Yeah,
Even though
oh, and
they're,
that family too, because
yeah,
like you have to
bingo.
basically shoo the kids and spouse like out of
Mhm.
the house for that
Right.
time period. It's
I mean,
like
you have 9 adults that are 8 additional adults that are suddenly in your house. I would not ask that of anybody. I would offer
Yeah.
it. I think you would if you had the, if we had the ability, we would definitely offer it, but it's
Right.
still a huge, huge ask. So doing it at an Airbnb close to it, we do, we spend money. I'll admit it.
Oh, yeah.
We're renting an Airbnb and it's not, the cheapest thing in the world, but we have 9 people going in there to take care of it, right?
Right. Well,
And you can't do it in a hotel room. I mean, can you imagine trying to do a 9-person meet?
oh,
Like,
that would
because
be
we
awful.
work. I mean, we work. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
like we're gonna go, have beach ball parties or something. We're
Oh
gonna
no,
we're sitting
the
around a
amount of
table.
things that get discussed, worked
Yeah.
out, talked about, like in that like day and a half, basically, it's intense. It's a lot of things, and
Mhm.
but at the same time too, it's like it's something that it would take like 4 to 5 2 hour like Zoom calls, which would
Mhm.
just be torturous. I think I would rather have be waterboarded, honestly. Just that's just a lot. That's a lot of Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
to
mean,
be able to
last
sit down and
year,
do that.
I think it was one of the fastest last year, but it was still 7 hours.
Yeah.
7, 8 hours. And that doesn't include stopping to eat, which
Mm-hmm.
we did, of course, because, we have to. But that was beyond that additional time. And it was all day. And I remember my first, and I was like, wow, this is way more work than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And we'd already finished most of the bylaws stuff. So we didn't get into the really technical meat of the matter. That
Yeah, I
was
was
already
gonna
taken
say
care of.
board retreats at this point in time are probably not as intense as when like the past 2 or 3 years when we like decided like, oh, we're gonna start going through the bylaws and
Mm-hmm.
really hashing that out. Like that was very time consuming, and I'm glad that that's pretty much done. And that allows for other things to be
Mm-hmm.
taken care of. So I think too, the other thing that's really neat about just getting to go to the retreat for the board is just the fact that, these guys who are the leadership for the organization, the only communication and time that they have together are once a month board meetings virtually, constant conversations on Slack daily.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something to be said when you can physically get together and just be in person. It's just like Home Dad Con, like
Yes.
the Dad Lounge is great. The Discord channel is great. The community on Facebook is great. But being able to come and be in person with the people that you're like, this is my community, is heads over tails a much greater experience.
Yeah. And especially when we're talking about the board. I mean, we have three new members. Granted, we've all met them, and at the very least, we met them at Home Dad Con,
Right.
and we see their name and we see their comments and we see their the things they talk about and what have you. But again, it's not the same as sitting across a table from them and going, okay, so this is the agenda for today. On this first item, what do you think? You know,
Yeah.
or vice versa, having them say, well, this is the first item, and I think this, and this, and you remove a lot of misunderstanding, which there's not a lot of misunderstanding, honestly, in our Slacks, but with text, you don't quite get the intonation, what have you. Like, they didn't
Right.
mean like that, or was that a joke? Whereas face to face, you immediately get an understanding. And especially since we have people on all across America,
Yeah.
people that are on the West Coast that just don't get caught up. Like with the people on the East Coast, they have a whole conversation before the people on the West Coast wake up.
Right. Exactly.
And it's like, well, we already solved this. Well, did you think about this? Oh, crap. No, we didn't.
Yeah.
That rarely happens, but just as an example. So having that face-to-face meeting, and I'll admit, I mean, I'm at best blue collar worker my whole life. Meetings don't sit well with me. I'm like, no, let's just do the work. No, we can't. We
Right.
have to actually sit down and talk about these things, and we need a face-to-face meeting, and the agenda is packed already.
Yeah.
And it's just full of stuff to do, and it's fantastic because it's such a forward-thinking organization. We're looking at, like, our 30th anniversary is coming up,
Yeah. That's
and
wild.
I'm one of the people that's making sure we have plans in place for that well in advance. I want the whole year leading up to it. I wish we had, done more on the 25th, but I think we did everything we could. But now that
We
we
did what we could
know,
with what we had. Yeah.
right, right,
Yeah.
yeah, and we did our very best. But I think every year we can get a little better.
Sure.
And coming into the 30th, that's one of the things I said, let's put that on the agenda because I'd like to brainstorm. And I would like January 1st or maybe January 5th or 6th because of New Year's and all that stuff, that hangover. But have that first week or two of January start announcing things like, this is what we're doing for the 30th. This is how we're doing a celebration, putting
Yeah.
different graphics out with, like fireworks or confetti or, just all those marketing things that we can do to help people understand how excited we are about our 30th,
Yeah.
and then to hopefully engender that same excitement or even more from anybody like our listeners or members of the
I
organization
have
and partners.
I have complete confidence that those things will definitely get taken care of. This organization has really gotten a grasp of what it means to market and what it
Hmm.
means to get those kind of things put out. The other thing too I wanted to point out, because I was just thinking about this from somebody who's not on the board, is the fact that if you're listening to this, last month was the big push for the membership drive, and that's still, like, you can still get your membership. Like, if you haven't gotten it already, that's something you can do throughout the year. I will say at the end of the year, it does, you have to renew basically for the next year. So better to get it now and be able to, really get all the resources along
Hmm.
with it. But with that too, like, Danny, you mentioned the agenda, and if you want to be able to see what goes on at the board retreat, you have to
Hmm.
be a member, because you can actually, once they are taken care of and get everything put together, which Matt Strain spends countless hours getting all of that organized. I would not want to do that. Uh,
Right.
and then gets it put up on the membership website to be able to look at. You can get an idea of what it is that was discussed and looked at and what's being proposed for next year,
Hmm.
and what's being brought to the table from maybe other organizations that are wanting to be involved, with our organization, whatever that is, all those different things. Those are things that make being a member valuable, because otherwise you're like, what's going on, what's all this doing or whatever. And it cuts down on having to have this big conversation at Home Dad Con, or
Hmm.
or have somebody have to go out and find the information or the answers when it's already right there. So
Yeah.
just my plug to be like, now's the time, get your membership, because that's something that you're going to be able to take a look at. And it's not immediate. I will tell you that for getting to see the agenda or like in what was talked about, like it takes a couple of weeks for Matt
Mhm.
to kind of get all that together because as we've said before, one, volunteers, that it's a
Mhm.
volunteer basis.
Right.
Two, at home dad life on top of
Mhm.
it, plus every other bit of family life and things like that. So it does take a couple of weeks for all that to get put into a nice clean document to where you can read through it, but definitely worth it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And really, I mean, we've been trying, and Matt's made it kind of his focus when he became secretary to make everything as transparent as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like everything we can, we're going to show. Now that we do have to have a certain amount of anonymity at times.
Sure.
We have plans that like if we talk with another large partner, organization, and we're thinking about doing something, we're not going to tell the membership. We're not going to tell the public either. This is hey, could this thing happen? Yeah, it could happen. What would that look like? And then we move forward with it. Now, once we come to a decision, then we're like, oh yeah, we decided we're going to do this. We're going to, whatever it might be. And those types of things do have to stay quiet because a lot of times it involves things with other organizations and we don't want any cross like, oh, I heard you guys are doing this with the National
Right.
Endowment. What? How did you hear that? We're not going to do that, especially now, so there's very, very few things that we just really can't
Yep.
because of the complications of it. They need to stay private. We're not keeping secrets, but we're keeping things business, professional. This needs to be here and we don't really want to expose that to everybody. But
Right.
I've seen two things maybe in the time I've been on the board that have been, I mean, and I'm glad we did because one of them never even happened. And if people had thought it was going to happen, it would have been crazy. And then suddenly all the disappointment. So it's
Right.
really important that we did that. But other than that, everything we do and say is there.
Yep.
And on top of that, if there's something that one of our listeners, even member or not, paid member or not, that you want to know about the organization, we're all willing to talk and ask your questions. If you're on the Facebook page, you can reach out to the admin team. They can get to who you need to know. You can talk to the board members directly if you already know their email address, or go on the website and find them. Ask somebody, hey,
Definitely.
what about this? And the other part of that too is if there's something you want to suggest.
Yeah.
Hey, what if we did this? What if we did that? Well, that's a very interesting idea. Or no, we tried that and it doesn't work, or whatever. Because a lot of the things we've done in the past, we've already answered these questions, and that's why we're not asking them now. But we have brand new dads and brand new members who don't have that history with us. Like, well, why don't we do this? Oh, yeah, because it rains every time. Oh, yeah, that would be terrible if it rained. Yeah. Okay, so we don't do that thing. So,
Right.
if there's anybody that has suggestions or questions, that's what the board is for.
Yeah.
You
Well,
Talk to the secretary. That's what we should talk
yeah,
to.
there you go.
Matt needs more
Talk
work.
to Matt. Yeah.
Matt needs more work.
Yeah. Hey, you get to see him in person. I have a feeling he might slug you in the shoulder for that one.
Man, I don't care. He's bringing pastrami. We're having Rubens for lunch.
Dude.
And I don't care.
Oh my gosh.
I have a chef making me lunch.
I
so
feel
I'm
like
good.
that'll be a sad day when he walks away from the board because no
Yeah.
more pastramis at retreats.
Yeah, and he's already, he's got his plan. He's got things he
Oh,
wants
sure.
to do, and I believe he's going to step down from the board, soon-ish, again because it's so much work.
Sure.
I originally when I got on the board, I'm like, yeah, I want to be secretary. I have no idea what secretary does, and I barely know now. But at the time, I'm like, I want to do something. I don't want to be president. We have a great president. We have a great vice president. Secretary was open. Okay, I want to go for that. And in hindsight, I am so glad I did not get that job. Oh my God. And I've told Matt at least twice, man, you're doing the work and I really appreciate it. I am not going to challenge you for that job because you're way better at it than I could
Yep.
be. And the demands, like you said, it's more than just making up some meeting notes, oh, well,
Yeah.
the minutes are like this. No, he is really, really focused on doing his job well. And he has knocked it out of the park every time. And we're whenever he decides to go, we're going to train an undersecretary and have them work with him so that they can make a smooth transition, which is something I don't really feel like we've done well in the past. But
We're starting
again,
to get better at that, though.
progress.
That's the
Yeah,
thing. Like
progress.
that's what I've been seeing is definitely everything from financial to like, when it comes to secretary stuff, you guys are getting things put in place, so that's good. And
We
and
actually
to,
use the word onboarding.
ooh, look at
Very
you.
professional,
There you
right?
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
We're gonna
goodness.
onboard. Oh, we're gonna work on our onboarding program. This is amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, like so that's I like that that's going on. That's great. And two, like there are so many guys like in the wings that, I think are either ready or really close to ready for taking positions on in the board. You see different guys, just the way that they interact with the group and do different things. So I'm excited for the future because there are guys who are understanding what this organization has to offer, and
Hmm.
they see the value in getting involved. So that's another big highlight. um One of the things that I was gonna bring up, like you were talking about like just different people being involved with the organization. One of our longtime friends of the organization, Shannon Carpenter, and our buddy Mick, who I can never pronounce his last name because
Friarmouth.
Friarmouth. Yeah. So they just recently announced that they actually are putting down the Dad Pod podcast, or
Hmm.
Dad House podcast, which they had a great show. They had a good run going with it. And I think just life got busy for them. Shannon's doing a bunch of other like things with
Yeah.
writing and stuff like that, which is really
Professional.
exciting. He actually just reached out to me the other day about something, and I was like, I mean, I know about this topic, but I don't like know about this topic. And I was like, but I know a dad who knows about this topic. So I was like, here's their information. You go talk to them. But that's the kind of thing that I really enjoy doing. But he's still writing. And then Mick still really enjoys podcasting and went and found another dad who also wanted to get into podcasting. Um, and they've started up their own new podcast. So Mick and David, again with the last names, it's
Pedancet.
Pedancet. See, that's what I got you here for,
I
man.
believe
Like
it's
you.
Pedancet.
So, and you got Mick in Kansas City and David is in LA. So really very different, like Midwest and West Coast.
Hmm.
Started up the Country Music Dads podcast,
Hmm.
and they're about 2 episodes in. And honestly, I really am enjoying this podcast. It's about 30 minutes long. Uh, they've got a very well like segmented out, and they're talking about how country music has influenced them as dads, just parenthood in general, things that like have kind of sparked a conversation about maybe like a topic that they want to talk to their kids about. And then too, just their love for country music and different
Hmm.
styles of country music. And they are very different in their styles of country music. Mick is older than David. So his, span of country music, he's got some different things that he's talking about. I thought it was cool. David was talking about how he got introduced to Johnny Cash, and it was like later on in Johnny Cash's career,
Yeah.
like, and so but at the same time too, after they had that conversation, Mick was like, man, I'm gonna pull out my CDs and start listening to all the Johnny Cash stuff again. And I'm the same way, man. When I hear somebody talk about music, I'm like, all right, like I'm going on Spotify, like finding that, like I'm gonna
Hmm.
listen to it. David is
Hmm.
a big Hardy fan, which Hardy's like this very new style of country music that's starting to get very popular, more rock oriented.
All right.
And I haven't really listened to a lot of his stuff other than the little snippets that they put out. But yeah, if you're looking for a new fun podcast that's actually connected with the National At Home Dad Network and want to support some other stay-at-home dads, go check out Country Music Dads with Mick and
Yeah.
David, because it is they've got a really good thing starting.
I wonder if they've heard or what their response was to Beyonce's new country song.
I don't know if they've talked a whole lot about that just yet.
I'd
So,
love to hear it. I'd love to
well, they
hear it.
were they were just
'Cause-
recently talking about Lainey Wilson and her
Mhm.
song, "What a Man Needs to Know," or something about like what a man needs to know, or something along those lines. And the topic came around for them just discussing like, um, just the fact that a lot of things that men do, like women can do as well, kind of thing. So it's not so much like what a man needs to know, but it's more about like what a man needs to know about how to treat a woman, like,
Mhm.
and that side of things. And so with David, like he's got all boys, he's
Mhm.
got, and with Mick, he's got a mix. So
Yeah.
just hearing the differences from the two of them was really cool. So, but yeah,
Nice.
I don't know. I imagine they'll probably get there for it because they seem to be really just, hitting all the different segments for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's called Texas Hold'em, and I love it. It's a
You do?
great song. Yeah, I really
I'm
love
not
it.
a
It's not, it doesn't fall into what I would consider like the standard country songs, because a lot
uh-huh.
of times country songs to me are telling a story. There's more to it than just what you're hearing. There's something going on there that they're telling a story about, and whatever that might be. Like you said, how to treat a woman, how to be a man, how to be a dad. A lot of these things have been covered in country songs in the past, and Beyonce just went in and just put down just a jam. It's just fun. It's like I want to line dance to this. I
All right,
just
I'm
straight
gonna
up want to line dance to this.
I'm gonna mess with you a little bit on this one. So, due to the lovely app TikTok, which is being attacked right now, um, so I actually came across a couple of guys talking about that song, and they pointed out that the rhythm and the cicada of that whole song is identical to the theme song from the show Franklin, like the turtle.
Franklin. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Really? Huh.
yeah.
I
And
haven't
they
heard that song in a long while either. So
Right. And so they played the
look
Franklin
that up.
song, and you get like the rhythm of it, and you're like, all right. And then they play the Texas Hold'em song, and by golly, they are right on top of each other. Like it's hilarious. So like, yeah, it's like, yeah, man, jamming out to this, and it's like, yep, you're jamming out to Franklin at the
Franklin,
same
that's turtle.
time.
I'm good with that.
But I just thought that was so funny,
That's
like that these
delightful.
guys like figured, like, they're listening to it, they're like, it sounds really familiar to my childhood. Like, why? Oh, it's
Reaches
this.
back. It reaches back.
Yeah, no
I love
kidding.
it though. I love it.
But
I'm gonna
yeah,
have to
so
chug to
that's one of the things.
listen.
Like, I'm like, please don't get rid of TikTok. Like, there's so many entertaining factors to it, honestly. So
Yeah, there's a lot going on. That's a whole
that's a whole
different
nother can of worms.
can of worms, kettle of fish. It's so many things. It's a
Oh yeah,
truckload
definitely.
of kumquats. I don't know, something. There's a lot going on there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Country Music Dads, check it out. It's on Spotify. I'll put a link in the bio about it because it's definitely worth seeing. The other thing that's really cool is like they're very similar to us in the fashion of like they really want to interact with their audience. I actually messaged David after I listened to the first episode and was just like so proud. Like they did such a great job with the editing and the audio was so good. So it's very high quality, which that's the thing that we yearn to do, and it's so great
Hmm.
to see another group of dads doing that. So and that's the other thing too, like they use the resources of the fact that there are dads like us and Joe Saladino doing beer cast and stuff like that to reach out and get information on what kind of things they needed to do to get their podcast going. And it was awesome to get to work with them on just kind of giving them that little bit of information,
Hmm.
and took no time at all really to just have a quick conversation with them, and off they went. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm excited to see where they go. Honestly, I really hope that like some country music people like hear it and reach out to them, because I think that would be just probably icing on the cake for them.
Hmm. That'd
So
be cool for
yeah,
sure.
so looking forward to.
Validation.
Yeah, right. I'm, and we get that. We got people that are reaching out to us who we've gotten to be on some different podcasts ourselves and talk to different people. So that's been really cool. And I think that's one of the fun things about doing a podcast is you get to have those conversations.
Well, it's kind of like its own, intertwined community.
Yeah,
You have people that are talking about, and granted, most stuff we talk about is generally parenting. That's
sure.
or the at-home dad show. That's what we do, so that's what we're here for. But a lot of times too, when we move into other places, some big issues that need to be talked about, whether you're a parent or not. And it's always cool to be able to reach out to someone else and say, "Oh, hey, I noticed you did this. And would you come on the show, or can we come on your show, or whatever it might be?" So I love that,
Yeah,
how intertwined the community is in
definitely.
podcasting.
Um, Last thing I wanted to talk about too. So the other night was the State of the Union address, and most people like usually like, oh, that's awful. Not excited about that at all. And if you were, and if, back in the day when we were little, it's like every station had that on it, so you weren't getting to watch
Mhm.
anything.
All you get.
That's all you get. But what I thought was cool is that there was spotlight drawn onto the Dad Caucus that started up last year when they were trying to vote for the Speaker of the House, and the fact that when they were going in there, they decided that they would go in and actually kind of make it known like where they stood, and so they actually pinned Lego bricks to their lapels on their suits to go in. And I just thought that was so neat because they're just talking about trying to like build families and give them support and things like that. And I was just like, all right, change up my profile picture for this thing and try to get some other people to do it. So I had created like a little profile picture that has that on there and just talks about the fact that the organization really stands behind what
Mhm.
they're doing for families. So but it was
Yeah, it
just
looked
neat
good.
to, yeah, it was, I mean, everybody goes in there with like different things to talk about. And I was just like, honestly, like families should be at the top of that list of priorities for what should be seen when there's a State of a Union address. Like, it's really just like, what is
Yep.
the state of the union for for families, for parents? Like,
Hmm.
I mean, that's what most, it's what most households are in the United States. And so, like,
Yeah.
things like childcare, which I feel like a lot of times is just not talked about enough. It gets swept under the rug, and these guys are really trying to get things put out there to help. So, yeah, it was neat to see them having just a visible um, something to draw the eye.
Hmm. Yeah. It looked pretty cool too. See them all wearing a little Lego brick
Yeah,
on their lapel. That was cool.
yep. I mean, who doesn't like Lego?
Hmm. Did you get your ticket to Home Dad Con?
Did I get my ticket? Oh shoot! You know what? I
Did you
am
get yours early?
horrible. Dude, I haven't
You
even
didn't
got.
get yours early?
I didn't get mine early. No,
Mm.
didn't do that.
Okay.
I know. Didn't get mine early, and then also too, like I haven't even actually. I need to get my membership this weekend when I get paid. So that's off my list.
Wow,
I'm
dude.
bad, dude. I
I
know.
don't even know
I'm
you,
preaching it.
man.
I'm preaching
Just
it. I need
right.
to. I know. I get it. I get it. By next show, I will tell you all I have my membership paid for. So mainly because I really want to see what you guys are talking about for the board retreat, but also for other
Mhm.
things. So yeah. So I'll get that. I'll get that put
We're
away.
considering also doing some live streaming while we're at
Ooh.
the hotel and what have you, and at the city museum. So potentially we'll have some live stream going out to our membership.
Yeah.
We're still working out the semantics of that, and it might just be an open live stream. I'm not positive how we're going to do it, but
I remember
it
doing
looks to be
there was a
fun.
live stream done during like lunches. They're during
Mhm.
like the main lunch just to give people a chance to like ask questions while everybody else was shoving their food in their face.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, lots of exciting things. I am very interested to see where things go from there, but we have nothing else really to discuss. So
Mhm.
that's all for this show, and we will talk to you all next week. So have a good one.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.